Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests in the building. We have Amir, Windom, and JC Watts. Welcome, guys.
What's up, my man?
How's it going?
Thanks for having us.
What's
Appreciate
going
it.
on? Black News Channel.
Yes, sir.
What is that about, my brothers?
I'm going to let JC tell you, man. This is his brain
Well,
child.
it is a 24/7 news channel that is culturally specific to the African American community, and you know, on most channels or news channels, you don't hear people talking about in terms of wellness. You don't hear them talking about sickle cell. You know, I really break it down and say that usually when you hear somebody talking about Thanksgiving dinner, you're on major networks. They're talking about pumpkin pie for dessert and you know, stuffing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and culturally specific to the African American community, we're talking about sweet potato pie and cornbread dressing.
That's
so
right. And mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Collard greens.
That's right. So
neck bone.
HBCUs, wellness. Obviously, there's the news angle, but we just think there needs to be a broader story told. There's a broader history, a broader story to be told about the African American community that consists of doctors and lawyers and engineers and journalists. And, you know, we're more than I participated in the sporting arena for 25 plus years. There's more to the black community than J.C. Watts being a quarterback, or there's more to the black community than athletics and entertainment, and that's critical in our community. But we're much broader than that.
I'm glad you said that about doctors, because we actually have been focused a lot on black women having fibroids. So many black women have fibroids more than any other race. And once we had Coach Jesse up here and the detox doctors up here, we had a whole discussion about it, and so many women hit me up like, I need to get that information because I've been dealing with these fibroids for so long and I don't know who I can talk to about it. And we hear so many black women coming forward and talking about the struggles they've been having, and it is true, we need a platform for people to be able to understand what's going on and how they can actually work on things that are very specific to us.
Exactly. You know, my wife, our daughter was in dance, and she was the only black girl in the dance class, and the teacher wanted the girls to put glitter in their hair, and of course it was a white instructor, and my wife said my daughter can't do that, and she thought she was being dismissive of wanting to put glitter in her hair, and she said I can't do that, and she broke it down to her, and she said, look, if my daughter puts glitter in her hair, you're going to lose her for the rest of the day, because, you know, we grease the scalp and you know, you can't just brush it out at the end of the dance. She said it's a process. Her instructor had never thought about that.
Right.
It had never crossed her mind. So, you know, there is a black perspective that needs to be heard in the major discussions, the major debates. Wellness, healthcare is a big issue. You know, we had Mr. Singleton that just had a stroke about 2 or 3 weeks ago and passed away this week and had high blood pressure. And, you know, that impacts the black community differently than other communities, and because of our culture and some of the things that we eat. But, you know, there's not if that's talked about, it's going to be people that look like us. It says we're not trying to be hostile. We're just saying there's a perspective that needs to be considered and respected in the national discussion.
You know what's interesting? Those discussions, right, can help with our stresses. We talk about, like, you know, the hypertension and the high blood pressure, but if we're having these conversations and we have a real news network that we can go to and listen to us talking about us in a positive way, that can lessen a lot of our stress.
Charlamagne, let me tell you, you know how psychiatrists make a living? By listening.
That's it.
You know, you sit on the couch and we just have a discussion.
That's it.
And we talk. You know, I've got 6 kids, and, you know, a lot of times, you know, parents, we often listen to kids to respond rather than listening to hear. You know, what are the, you know, you wrecked the car. Daddy, it wasn't my fault. All we hear is,
you wrecked the car.
Yeah. So, yeah, the discussion and having somebody that's listening, that understands our wellness issues, our struggles, our challenges. When I was in Congress, I joined with Harold Ford Jr., Jesse Jackson Jr., Donna Christensen, who was the delegate from the Virgin Islands, who was a doctor, and we specifically targeted the National Institute of Health to put money in the bill to say, we want you to look at these issues that impact the African American community. Because if they're studying these issues, then doctors understand how to deal with them more effectively and more efficiently. So it makes a big difference.
Now, when does it launch?
November of this year. We got on. We started this journey last October, and we got our funding. And we said that once we're funded, it'll take us about 9 to 12 months. But November is our target launch date. We announced that at the NAACP Image Awards here about 4 months ago. Our network operating center will be in Tallahassee, Florida. And so we've gotten a good reception and look forward to creating another venue on TV for the African American community.
What does the programming look like?
So the programming, well, I'll speak at it
And
from
Amir, why don't you tell them who you are and your background?
Okay, well, yeah, I work in the music biz. I worked at a lot of labels, worked for a lot of artists, from the Bruno Marses and others. But for me, this opportunity, it's not even an opportunity, it's kind of a responsibility. So when I met these gentlemen and they told me exactly what they were trying to do for the African American community, these are the opportunities that you look for, that you hope that you can get, that could be directly influential to your community. And so working in music for so long, and film and TV, now being a part of a launching television network, it's a no-brainer, because now we get to literally change the dynamic and the view of African Americans. And so when you say what does the programming look like, imagine a newscast where there's literally no negative news about African Americans.
Amazing.
Imagine that. Imagine a newscast, a 30-minute or hour newscast where all we're doing is reporting positive things about African Americans. You've never seen that. Typically you watch the news now. Police are looking for a black man who, robbed a store.
Even a black man gets killed by a police officer, and
Exactly.
it's like, oh, well, he robbed a liquor store when he was 15.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They'll justify it. So our network will still obviously report the day-to-day news, but we also have programming in that form where you literally can watch a newscast and just feel inspired once you leave. Because, a lot of us, I'm sure, don't like watching the local news. It's depressing.
And it matters so much who's telling the story, too, because the way that media can tell the story will slant what you think really happened.
Yeah. We were, Charlamagne and Angela, we were on a panel together last night. You all heard me tell the story about going to Africa. I led a congressional delegation that we went to Africa, and we were in West Africa specifically, and that's where probably 75-80% of the slave trade unfolded in West Africa. And we saw the door of no return, about a 6-foot rectangular door, and the African people that went through that door, they called it the farewell to Africa door, because they knew when they went through that door they were going to get on a ship, cross the Atlantic, never to see Africa again. But we went over there, and it was Republicans and Democrats, and I was a leader of the delegation, and we saw the little cages where they kept the African people before they took them through the door and put them on the ship. We saw poverty. We saw health clinics being built. We saw black African pilots, piloting planes, and kids in school and health clinics, and saw a whole lot of things for the first time. And what we see on TV in America and around the world is often different than what's going on the ground. Well, anyway, we came back home. One of my Democrat colleagues went home and was talking to his 90-year-old granddad. And he said he told his grandfather all that he had seen in Africa. And he said after he told him that, his granddad said, I knew there was more. I knew there was more than what they were showing us on TV. Well, as you all have discussed, and we talked about a little bit last night, there's a whole lot more to the black community than crime or sports. And for every black kid that might get in trouble, I can show you 100 that gets up every day trying to make their mother proud and trying to do good things. But again, as Amir said, we don't focus on those things. And I think one of you said last night, if it bleeds, it leads. And so again, that's news, but that's not all of the news
Right.
concerning the African American community.
And I'll say this too, Black News Channel, and this is where my responsibility lies, is, entertainment is a part of our culture, so our network has to embrace that too. So from a music standpoint, we'll be creating a music platform that particularly focuses on emerging artists. We'll also have original programming that I would say overall has a positive nature. Like, do we want to have a Real Housewives on our network? Probably not, but it'll probably be more content that also, we have a show where we're going to be showing, if I read you guys' bio, you, Angela, it would just say, it'll tell me where you're from, it'll tell me where you got your start, and then it'll just say, it'll be a highlight reel, right? It'll just make it look like you didn't have to grind, you didn't work hard, like your story was just pretty easy. But we're going to create a show that really focuses on the struggle, the process.
Okay.
And so, it's going to be, again, most of the content is going to be uplifting, inspirational, and from an entertainment standpoint, we gotta make sure that's the dopest, one of the dopest aspects of our network as well too.
Do y'all have any personalities attached to it already?
Not yet, but that's why I've been in your manager's emails and text messages and stuff, and same with you, Paris and Envy. So
That's not Paris.
huh?
He
Oh,
said
you mean
about-
talking to
No,
Paris?
I'm
Oh,
talking to Paris. Yeah, right. No.
But I think it's great. I think it's a great network, and especially if you have things like if you have a mental health seminar
Absolutely.
and something like the real estate seminars and credit seminars and just helping people do things that they necessarily will not know how to do. I think that's absolutely positive.
And when you talk about like reality shows, I love shows that are about starting a business that
Yeah.
can maybe show a small business owner and, from the start of them starting. Because a lot of people ask me all the time, like, how do I want to start? I want to start a business. How do I do it? What are the steps? And I think obviously everybody's story is going to be different, but just to show certain things that happen and show the struggles, but also maybe some shortcuts that people can have if they want to start something, and what are the key things to do, like how important it is to have the right location, things that the city can do to help you out, all kinds of grants, how to get your customers, marketing, all of those things are so
It
important.
sounds like you're gonna be producing a show on the Black News Channel. That's what it sounds like.
No, I think things like that are great. People love to watch stuff like that, and it's informative.
Yeah.
And we've just in about a 7-8 minute segment here, we've discussed 3 or 4 things
Yeah,
that
we need it.
could move the bar from here to here. Just educate, inspiration, education,
Right.
information for the community, and I think that's, and as you all said last night, and as Amir's alluded to this morning, that's a responsibility. I mean, if I'm equipped with the right kind of information, and I've got $1,000 and I want to go start a business, if I'm equipped with the right information, people that can kind of help you navigate through those infant phases of starting a business and growing a business, that's critically important. And so just knowing where to counsel people to go. The Minority Supplier Development Council, they've got chapters all over the country. You've got Mark Moriel at Urban League. I mean, they get involved in some of those things. The NAACP, I mean, they were allies of mine when I was in Congress to kind of help navigate certain issues, be it incarceration reform or small business issues or civil rights issues, voting rights issues.
Right.
Just, again, I think, what you all do, and just, Charlamagne, as you said, just talking about issues, just informing people. And people may not agree with you all and what your thoughts and ideas are, but at least, even if you give me an idea that I don't understand or don't agree with it, I think it does take me to another level, because it forces me to say, I've never thought about that, or maybe I should consider that perspective. And so I think that's the value of African American media, be it radio, TV, and taking this effort on. let me tell you, Bob Johnson and Kathy Hughes are heroes of mine.
Hero.
Because I'm telling you, if the community knew about the struggle in getting on air and getting carriage and having someone pick you up on radio and say, yeah, we think there's a market for that. I've got a brand. I respected them prior to the Black News Channel, but Kathy Hughes and Bob Johnson, let me tell you, they've grown bigger in my eyes.
It's gonna be on all cable providers, or?
Yeah, we've got satellite cable. We're on. We've got 33 million homes today that we will be in November. DishNet, Charter, and Comcast, and so 33 million homes today. We think by the time we launch in November of this year, we think we'll be in 42 million plus homes.
Dope.
And so that's a great start for us. And as you all know, distribution is key.
Right.
And if you can get distribution, I've known some over the last 5 or 6 years that tried to start and didn't have distribution, and they just, it's tough to survive without it.
How was it to secure funding? How was that process? And
It's private investors. You just we've gone through different iterations over the last 10 years. We had an investor that got killed in a plane crash, and we lost funding. Then we had another gentleman that got caught in the capital markets going south in 2008, 2009, and so we've at different points over the last 7-8 years, we've had distribution but no funding. We've had funding but no distribution, and we finally reconciled the two and got them both in the same hat at the same time, and we're off and running.
Well, we look forward to seeing this channel, and you guys need to come back up when we get a little closer to the
Absolutely,
date.
November.
deal.
yeah, you see, we sat here and pitched some shows already. So.
Yeah, that's what I said. You're going to produce that show you're talking about.
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
All right. Well, it's Amir
I mean, you're going to
Windom.
produce the score. You're going to score it as well.
Of course. Gotta do
Market
that.
It's J.C. Watts, and we appreciate you for joining us, bro.
Hey,
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank you
guys
for
for
having
having
us.
us on.
Appreciate it.
And I also want to shout out Amir, though, because he did the movie Canal Street, and I know
Oh, yeah, that's right.
we filmed a
was in
little bit
that.
up
Yeah,
here.
Charlamagne, you got a nominate for an Oscar for that one, right?
I heard, yeah. I think I'm up to win.
Yeah.
From what I was told.
All right, it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.